countdown today because I'm cool and forgot, and also never fuck with doing the streaming myself. So I don't even know how. What's up? Well, as you can see, it is not normally, it's not the normal crew, me and Renee. Renee had some computer issues. He's getting it fixed, which is funny because we are running really late because both of us are having computer issues as well. So this is cool. But welcome to another episode of your favorite fucking podcast, the Perfectly Misfit Podcast, with me, Dan Webb, and my guest today, my glorious guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Cory fucking Kastle. Welcome to the
Hello,
show, buddy.
Dan. Hello, Jonathan. I have to say,
Just
uh,
getting hydrated.
it was really cool. The thing is, the misconception might be that somehow I'm like this big, busy uh, star who's always doing something, who's always busy, always uh, away from my phone. But really, I respond to everything real quick, and there's not a good amount of time. Like I couldn't name 5 times where I've like ignored people or like declined a phone call or like I just it's just not really in me. So like giving me something cool to do is really awesome, and I thank you for calling me and inviting me to hang with you again.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for doing it last minute because I wasn't really sure if we were going to do it or not. And then finally, we're just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go ahead and do it. Have a little quick shit show episode. And here we are. We're just two dudes shitting around.
Do you think do you think Renee will be too upset if we just fill it with wrestling talk? If we just talk about pro wrestling this whole time?
Bro, here's the fun part. Sorry, that fan was really loud. Renee's not here, so he can't tell me what we can and cannot talk about. No, yes, I would love to talk pro wrestling with you, and I'm planning on it.
Bro,
Um,
I since Wrestle Rock has ended. So we stopped Wrestle Rock. We probably stopped Wrestle Rock. It's probably been like 6 months now where we haven't been doing Wrestle Rock, and I miss it. I miss talking about wrestling. I miss having like a reason to, you know what I mean? Having a reason to like for sure. I'm still watching everything, and the reason is that I like it and I love it, and I really want to like share it with people. It's not really something I talk about with anybody because like nobody I know, nobody I work with, nobody who is in my family. Nobody gives a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of a shit about pro wrestling.
yeah, no one here gives a shit about it either. That's just me, and I haven't even really been watching all that much. Um, if I do watch it, it's just like recaps on stuff that happen on either like on Twitter, Reddit is where I get most of my information. I can watch a lot of good stuff because they normally post um, like some clips and stuff of like great parts of the matches, and then obviously AEW's been really good about posting a lot of their big stuff that happens on the show right away on YouTube. So
Dude,
um,
I I listen my quota of like I have to have a bunch of stuff to talk about because like I got a wrestling podcast to record this Friday. That part of me that like that's still there to consume everything I'm a part host of a wrestling podcast. So we're gonna absolutely talk about this stuff. But now that part is just filled with me listening to Cornette's podcast and Wrestling Soup. Have,
dude,
do you,
I
have you
need
ever
to
listened
listen to
to?
Wrestling Soup. I haven't at all. Um, and I hate Jim Cornette so much that like I hate his voice. So it's very hard to listen to his podcast. Um, but I will tell you, I have been listening to Mick Foley's podcast, uh, and I really like it when he talks. I hate it when what is his name, Connor
Conrad?
Thompson or whatever the fuck his name
Conrad.
is. Yeah,
Conrad.
Conrad
Come on,
Thompson.
bro. Recognize wrestling personalities who are becoming millionaires off of pro wrestling when I'm renting an apartment in Levittown, PA.
Hey, you know what? You're killing the business. So you could write a book like the Young Bucks and
Yeah,
title it "Killing the
the
Business."
thing
That's
is,
what they
man, like
did.
I started writing a book. I started writing a book when I was young, and in that in that I wound up thinking like, man, people have got to care about who I am to want to actually read this book. So I'm going to go out there and make myself somebody people care about reading their book.
Yeah, well,
So
I mean, you actually have that because I mean, like you're my friend, my only friend that I know of that's been in fucking movies and shit. Um, you're a pretty fucking funny stand-up comedian who has already kind of found his niche in that, where you're like a dad joke king.
on in conversations
So,
for sure. As far as on stage, I still have yet to find my voice. I don't think
well,
I'm
yeah,
a
but
good
that takes.
comedian.
I mean, you've been a stand-up for comedian for how long now, right?
Well,
Like,
I I did my first open mic in 2008, but that certainly doesn't count as how long I've been doing comedy. Like I I pissed off with it. Like I like pissed it off and like didn't really do it as much for years. So I'd
well,
say I didn't start taking it seriously as a thing that like I wanted to do and be good at until probably like 2016. And still inside of that, there's a bunch of big chunks where I just was like, I got so many other things and I'm not focusing on that. And at this point, it's not that I have so many other things, it's just that I'm not focusing on that as much. Like
right.
I did an open mic on Monday and I don't know when I'm going to do another one. You know what I mean? I don't know when I'm getting back up on stage. I don't know when. And it's like I honestly I didn't have much prepared. I just like was I just kind of had ideas, premises, and I just wanted to kind of feel them out and treat it like an actual open mic, which like I don't really do because I know I've said it to you before. The silence at places makes me
Silence is
uncomfortable.
deafening.
It makes me so uncomfortable. So like that inside of like the ring and that inside of on the mic, like at a comedy club, that silence, that's that's depressing. It
Yeah,
depresses me. So
yeah. Silence is
I
deafening.
wanted
You,
to get myself like a little more comfortable in those silences. That's why like uh, I go to that mic on the second Monday of every the first and second or the first and third Monday of every month in front of 9 people who like aren't really laughing at anything. And that's all I'm kind of doing.
yeah, I mean, it's almost like as bad. Like you watch Kill Tony, don't you? Every once in a while.
I've caught a few, but I wouldn't say I
It's not
watch
my
it.
favorite podcast. It's a good podcast. It's not my favorite, but I'll watch it depending on who the guest judges or whatever are. But
Respectfully, I I love and respect Tony Hinchcliffe, and I've met him before. He's really nice. Uh, we get along well. Respectfully, Kill Tony, overrated.
I think it's good. I mean, a lot of really good comics came out of
Oh,
that.
there are some, yeah.
Like the biggest one I can think of right off the top is Jeremiah Watkins.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it did. I think Andy Letterman was in that as
Okay,
well, or whatever. I don't really know. I can't remember her last name, but
you're talking about Annie Letterman,
yeah, I think she was in it as
probably.
well. But a lot of good comics have come out of it. But dude, it's like I watched that not necessarily for that 60 seconds of uninterrupted 9 out of 10 times really shitty comedy.
Hmm.
I watch it for the guest and the guest just blowing everybody up.
Well, the thing is,
And
bro, like the awful comedy that you're seeing there, I'm seeing that everywhere. Like
yeah,
they're shining a light on what I'm already seeing every time I go anywhere. Like it's like awful open micers. I get it. I get it. I really do. And I've had friends who've been on Kill Tony and don't have many good things to say or bad things to say. But like those are people who are really thirsty for some time, for some
Well,
fame or some sort of exposure. And I mean, I guess I kind of am too, but I just I don't feel like we're on that same level. Like I actually beat myself up over and over thinking about how I should have done Kill Tony when I was at Skankfest the last time,
nice.
and I did not.
So I'm listening to all of it. I will go ahead and say uh, I got really distracted. I live in the country. I live out in buttfuck Egypt, I- and when you live out in the country, sometimes you get a little buddy. And I literally just had, as I'm like sitting here watching you, I caught out of the corner of my eye, a fucking mouse just ran across my counter, and I was like, God, motherfucker. Like, normally not. I'd get them. I'll get like one or two during the summer or whatever. It's not a big deal. Like
Mhm.
I'm used to it. It's just the way it is. But in the winter, I'll get quite a few because they're trying to
It's
get into
cold
the
out.
warm
Yeah.
spot. But
Yeah.
golly, that it's such a distraction. It threw me off so fucking bad, and I'm so sorry. I ruined that a little bit, but ugh, now that's gonna bother the shit out of
I
me.
mean, what were we talking about? We were talking
We're
about
just talking
comedy.
about
We were talking
stand
about
up
Kill
and
Tony.
comedy, and uh, how Kill Tony's kind of looking for your 5 seconds of fame in a way. So, which I get. Again, like I said, I'm not a regular listener to it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Uh, but have you been listening to your mom's house at all lately?
You know what? I got really turned off last time I was talking to you guys, and you guys were like, "Oh, they were talking about the expensive shit or whatever the shirt that she was talking about, whatever that
Yeah.
was." Made it go like, this is a level that like not relatable to people anymore. So I kind
I
of
get it,
I kind of
but
like tuned out a little bit
the
on my
guest
end.
this week was Andrew Schultz,
Okay.
and I fucking love Andrew Schultz. So I listened to it. Was a great podcast. It's just 2 weeks in a row though where they've really killed it on Your Mom's House. It's been really fucking good last couple of weeks.
Well, I
It
just
also
listened to.
helps that I've kind of stayed away from it for a little bit, so I kind of missed some of it. But it's really really good. I also listened to well, obviously Dudesy. We suck Dudesy's
Yeah,
dick all the
yeah,
time on
dude.
this
I
podcast.
listened to Dudesy today. I listened. I
Dudesy was
listened to
fucking
the
amazing.
newest one.
Uh,
I listened to Dudesy today. I listened to not well, of course, the one where they were like, "Oh, Will's got COVID," blah blah blah. It was just
yeah.
like 2 seconds of him talking. That keeps accidentally playing after something ends because it's like in my queue. But but I listened to that today, and I listened to "You Made It Weird" with Mateo Lane, and he talks a lot about Andrew Schultz and how Andrew Schultz like really gave him the rub,
Yeah.
really like told him what to do to be successful, and now he's like a draw.
Schulte's been all over the place right now in podcasts. He was on Your Mom's House. He was on Tim Dillon, which again, I like Tim Dillon. I think he's a great comedian. I don't really like his podcast all that much. It's just not me. Uh, he was really good on it. You know what I've really been listening to a lot is Josh Wolf and his son have a podcast. I think it's called Hey Dude or something like that. And
And
that's
it's a
really
little
fucking
wild and
funny.
a
They've
little
only done a
strange.
couple. And then Bad Friends this week was Bad Friends had Schultz on it too. So I mean, Schultz has definitely had a lot of exposure because I don't know. Do you know why he's getting all this exposure right now? Obviously, he has a special coming out,
Right,
but
I figured that.
he is a his special. He was bought by Netflix, and then Netflix wanted to edit
Yeah,
out
they just put it on his
some
website.
jokes,
Yeah, yeah, I remember now.
and he
It was
got
like
pissed.
it
And he was
debuted
like,
like yesterday
"No."
or the day before.
He's like, "No, I'm gonna buy the. I'm gonna buy it back." He bought his special back from Netflix, and yeah, now he's gonna put it up on a streaming website
Yeah,
where, like, if you buy it for whatever, I don't know, I have no idea how
yeah,
much
it's
it
ten
is.
bucks.
Oh, $10. All right, so you
Uh-huh.
buy it, you get to stream it right away for 2 weeks, and then it goes away for like 2 weeks, and then you get a copy of it forever. So, like a digital copy or whatever, you can download it to. Renee is calling. I'm gonna accept this phone call.
Go for it.
I'm gonna put it on speaker so everybody can hear. Hey, what's up, Renee? We're in the middle of the podcast. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, Sexies? I got a phone call from this number.
Yeah, well, it was when we were having technical difficulties and
Okay.
had to get that code again. So, but that's it.
All right. Just making sure everything's good. Love your faces.
Hey, Renee.
Great show, guys.
What's
Oh
up,
yeah,
buddy?
yeah. We're 16 minutes in because a bunch of cool shit happened. So
Oh, sweet.
I'll
Bunch of
definitely
cool guys
explain it
going
to
on,
you
huh?
later. It's gonna be super
All
fun.
right, James. Love you.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Did he say James? What did he say? James? Did he say
Yeah,
James?
he did say James. What a dick.
That's me.
He broke kayfabe.
I guess. Yeah, I guess so.
How do you do that?
Yeah, it's okay. It's
Break
it's all gray fade, man. None of it. Everything is. There's no like black and white. It's not. Hey, Emil, what up, dude? So there's like a there's no black or white. It's not as dualistic anymore as far as like what's in character and what's in real life. So I came up with the phrase gray fade to describe like it's kind of in gimmick but kind of not in gimmick. And I really want that to like catch on. I want everyone to use it. And even if you give me credit or not, I just think it's such a great describer for
I mean, you could call
any
it
like
gray
work
fade, but I
shoot.
think they've been doing that forever. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
think the
always been called a
NWO
work.
got
It's
it
always
started.
been called a work shoot forever.
Yeah, you work yourself into a shoot, brother.
Yeah, that's 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 the way that's the way I've described many relationships I've been in.
Speaking of relationships, you did drop. You have got 3 episodes now, right? 3 episodes of the Shane podcast.
Yeah, the Shane cast.
You guys
Yeah.
are killing it. I've watched every one. Although you still have not figured out how to get the call clarity better.
Oh, dude, that's it's directly into the computer now. Like the first episode, it was just like me playing it in front of the microphone, but now I have the audio downloaded onto the computer. So that's the audio I have. That's as good as a quality as it's going to get.
All right. Well, it's probably also like my deaf ass. So, like, I've got like just to give you some fucking knowledge on how deaf I am. I have my Bluetooth on my computer just went out. It's been a known issue that's been happening randomly on certain computers during updates for Windows 11. Boring stuff out of the way. All that shit went out. Okay. I've got headphones in. I have the volume turned all the way up, and I still feel like you're muffled. I know you're not, but that's how deaf I am. With my Bluetooth speakers, I have turned all the way the fuck up, and then I can hear everybody fine. But I know when I have like normal headphones or whatever, like all the
Did
volume all the
something
way up.
cause you to be so deaf? Was that from combat?
Yeah. Well, we got blown up in mortars, just a bunch of shit, dude.
So it affected.
You can't really tell can't really tell the enemy. Say, hey, hold on a second, don't
Let me
fire
put
any
my.
more bombs at us, so I can put my earplugs back in.
Excuse me.
You know, like so.
Yeah, you gotta have also your presence of mind. You know that has to be with you. You have to
Well,
know. You have to
but I
be
gotta
aware
hear
of your
everything.
surroundings.
I want to hear everything, so I gotta hear like if I'm in the turret, I need to hear my driver yelling what's
Right.
coming out, and if I got earplugs in, can't hear that shit.
Right. You
So
can't. You can't operate through like Iggy's.
right, yeah, I don't know sign language, but and then like in the turret, like you're up above anyway, and everybody's below you. So what am I gonna do? Like it's gonna look like I'm playing with my dick the whole time, you know?
Well, did I use another inside baseball term for wrestling that like maybe you might not know?
What?
Iggy's. Do you know what an Iggy is?
The Izzy?
An Iggy.
Uh-uh.
An Iggy is like if let's say I like have you in a hammer lock and I want you to reverse it. I'll give you a little squeeze on your hand, a little Iggy. When I'm holding you in a hammer lock and I give you the little Iggy, I give you the office. That's your cue to go ahead and reverse that shit.
That's your time to break your move, huh?
Yeah.
That's
It's like,
awesome.
hey, reverse. So I was saying you communicate with the driver through Iggy's. He's like, 1 bullet, 2 bullet, 3 bullet.
Oh man. So, what have you watched? Did you watch Doctor Strange yet? I know I don't know if we talked about this. I
I
did on
did watch
my
it. I
I did
did.
with Renee and he didn't watch it. So
Hmm.
hopefully he's not peeping in right now. I don't think he is. And but have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Spoiler alert, if you have not seen the new Doctor Strange, you literally have I'm gonna count to five or count down from five, pause it. You know.
Pause it, go
Five.
watch the movie, come back, hit play.
Right, right. Five, four, three, two, one. Do you remember any of the trailers for that movie? All
No.
right. I watched all the trailers because there everybody said, oh, because it's the multiverse, there's gonna be so many people from whatever coming in and like it was a big rumor that like if you slowed the video down at this one part you could see Deadpool in a reflection in the glass and
Hmm.
all this shit. So I was like, all right, whatever. But not one time in a trailer did it actually show who the villain was or even give you a hint to who the villain was of that movie.
Hmm.
And when they actually showed who the villain was, it blew my fucking mind because I did not see that coming. What about you? Did you see that coming at all?
Could I tell you I don't remember it?
You don't remember who the villain is?
I forget.
It's fucking Wanda,
Oh, right.
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, she was the heel of the whole thing. Well, she was like the heel of the series too, of WandaVision. So I
See,
mean,
I have never. I see. That's probably what my biggest thing. I didn't watch WandaVision.
okay,
I
well,
didn't think it
WandaVision
was
was
going to be any good.
it was good. I really liked it. I enjoyed the shit out of it. I actually started watching it a second time.
I'm gonna have to watch it now, and then probably that movie's going to make a lot more sense. But I did not see that coming at all. I had a lot of people tell me that they didn't like it because of that. That they didn't like Wanda as the bad guy, and I'm like, it's not necessarily Wanda. It's the Darkhold, like the book, the spell book. It turns like it
It's
basically turns you evil
the
for a
Necronomicon,
little, you know. So
Necronomicon version 2.
yeah, so like I don't know. I thought that whole movie was done very well. The special effects, obviously, out of this world. Obviously, like the big demon guys
I would have
that
to say
were
that they were out of this universe.
what?
I would have to say they're out of this universe. The special effects, the movie, everything was really good, really
I
really
thought
good.
the storyline was great. The ending was good. It was fair. It should have ended that way. Um, I will say, I hated the very end credit. Like they give like a little like snippet at the end of the movie. If you watch it all the way through,
I don't
Fucking
remember it.
what's her name?
Bro,
What's that?
I have to let me make this like make a little bit more sense. If anyone's listening, if this is the first time you've heard of me or the first time you've ever seen me or heard me, uh, I I've been a pro wrestler for going on 20 years now, and I've had many concussions, and I had brain surgery 11 years ago. It's about to be 11 years. This August the 4th will be the 11-year anniversary of my grand mal seizure that almost took my goddamn life. And so when it comes to remembering stuff like big parts of movies, especially because I'm involved so much content. I'm consuming so much content. Sometimes like specifics of stuff when someone goes like, "Oh, did you see the end or the bad guy?" Nope, I did see it, but I forget.
In a way, that's kind of cool. Because then, like, that movie's new to you again. Like, you could watch it 6 months from now and then be like, I know I've seen this, but I don't remember anything. And that's cool. In a way. I have really shit memory too, but mine's like straight up short term. It's like I'm horrible with names. I'm one of those people that I have to say your name in a conversation with you, and it's gotten to the point where I know it's awkward and I can't hide it. So I just tell them, I'm like, "Hey, look, I have to say your name a couple of times in order for me to remember it." Okay, Jennifer? Awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate you, Jennifer. You
So
know. Uh,
also you got to remember, you got to remember, like in my world where I come from, I have that same problem, but everyone has their gimmick names and everybody has their shoot names, and I have to try to remember who's what and if I've seen them before because, like, at a lot of shows you see a lot of people who you don't remember from before. Like I can't. I tell you, this happens to me often enough that like I'm kind of admitting that it makes me feel like a jerk, but I continue to do it. When someone comes up to me and they start saying like they start talking to me like they really know me, like I'm gonna know exactly who they are too. Like they come up to me and they're like, "Oh man, you know my gimmick, right? I'll be walking around and I'm doing this. I got this whole new thing I'm gonna start doing." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I have no idea who you are, and I never watched one of your matches. I don't know what you wear to the ring. I don't remember your face. And if you held a gun to my head, I could not tell you your name. But I'll keep nodding and waving because as soon as the quicker I do that, the quicker that interaction ends. And they can go, wow, it was a real cool memory to have a conversation with Cory and him just talk to me like we're peers. I dig that.
yeah.
I like being able to give that experience to somebody. I'd rather them have that to remember than to go like, "Oh, Cory was a jerk and he was like, I don't know who you are." I'm like,
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I just tell everybody now. I don't remember. Like if I don't remember you and you know me, I'm like a brain injury, bro. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm sure you were really cool 20 years ago, but I don't. I, you don't. You're not fucking anything to me. So
yeah, you want to be like, "Heh, be more memorable, bro."
yeah, do something cool. Dude, I just did a 450 splash. Oh, I
Stand
mean
out
that
in
is
some way.
cool. It used to be really cool when Juventud Guerrero did it, and he was the only one on TV who did it, and then now everybody does.
Well, Mark Marrow was doing them. No,
First
Mark
of all,
Marrow was doing a shooting star, wasn't he?
no, I don't think so.
Was Mark Marrow was doing a shooting star press, wasn't he? Not a 450.
No, not a 450, but he did like a Swanton version. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to look that up, but
I'm gonna look it up right now.
yeah, go
Continue
ahead.
talking.
Again, though, but if he's a WWF guy, I only had WCW at the time.
Right.
I didn't have cable, and back in the day, fucking TNT and TBS were was free. So I mean, hey, whatever. But yeah, no, I didn't watch any of the Attitude Era. I did later in life. When the WWE Network came out, I watched the whole thing on WWE Network.
That's probably the coolest way to do it too. Like,
So
I know when I was on the road with this wrestler Chuck Payne. Do you know who Chuck Payne is? He's a big deathmatch guy now. Before he was a deathmatch guy, uh, we were always on the road together, and we were always on shows together. But I know for a while he was young. Like he probably didn't live through the Attitude Era. So he's like, I'm watching every single Monday Night Raw and every pay-per-view in chronological order. I'm getting myself through every year of the 90s. I was like, dude, that's the coolest. I bet that's awesome.
yeah. Oh, dude, and then like I don't know. I like Sting was my favorite growing up. Like that was my guy, especially Crow
Can you
Sting.
see this?
I don't know yet.
It's at 450.
Oh shit! What year was that? Was that?
That was the 90. That was like 95, 96 probably.
All right, that might have been before Juventud. I don't know. I can't remember when the Juventud got into WCW.
Yeah, Juventud. I think all of that was all very similar time frames.
Hoovy was my favorite. Like everybody loved Ray. Like I love Ray, but for some reason, Hoovy before he lost his mask, he was my favorite of the cruiserweights. Him and Billy Kidman, and then like Rey Mysterio was great. I always hated Eddie Guerrero because he was a heel and you're supposed to hate him. Like, like I was that big of a mark. Like if you were a bad guy, I didn't like you. I was a kid.
It always cracked me up that he just owned the mullet. Like he was just like, yeah, this is my. I just have this stupid haircut, and like I like it, and it works for me. And like it just was like, yeah, okay, Eddie Guerrero mullet. We're just going with that.
Yeah, I always hated him, you know, when he wanted to be hated, but he had a couple of baby face runs and I loved him then.
Yeah, dude.
I
When he was having his matches with Brock, like No Way Out, that whole like that WrestleMania 20, like all that like babyface, big build, Eddie Guerrero, like it's impossible to dislike him at that point.
right. Oh, it's like that. Wasn't okay, WrestleMania 20 is the one where Eddie and Chris Benoit won world
Yes.
championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that on DVD. And I've watched that probably 15 times. And this is obviously way before
That visual medium is deader than both Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit.
I honestly think if you watch, I don't watch a peak. Do you have Peacock? I know you do.
Yeah.
All right. So I wonder if you watch WrestleMania 20, if that Chris Benoit match is even in it, or if they edited that out.
They still had like when it was in when they had the WWE Network, they had him still on pay-per-views. They just like don't talk about his name in like promoting anything. They don't ever like mention his name in any promotional materials. But like if you watch the whole shows start to finish, you're gonna see some Chris Benoit.
So for everybody who's like, "The fuck you talking about?" It's just old school wrestling. When wrestling was still kind of cool, like you were allowed to be cool and watch wrestling. Like even if you weren't, I would have watched it anyway because I loved it when I was younger. I still love it now. I get to live through it again through my youngest son, who still loves wrestling. Oh, he's kind of fallen out of love with wrestling because again, now he's at the age where wrestling's not cool. But I got to watch it again for a couple of years with him. I got to take him to live events and stuff. Anytime WWE or ROH or any major show with anyone that had a name that I knew and he knew, I made sure I took him to the show. So I spent hundreds, probably a couple $1,000 just on WWE and wrestling shows and shit for my younger son. And
cool. Like what you got, like front row stuff?
I did for an ROH show, which was cool because I had Jay Lethal was on it.
Yeah.
So was Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana is one of my favorites. He's like the indie darling. He's like the true road warrior. I love him to death. His Art of Wrestling podcast
Were you
was
the one who told me that he had shouted me out on the podcast
I probably
on Art
I
of
don't. I'm the
Wrestling?
one who listens. Yeah, it was me because
Okay.
I'm the one who I listen to his shit religious. Not so much anymore because he doesn't do them regularly. He used to put one out every week. Now he puts one out every couple of months.
Mhm.
But and then depending on who the guest is, I'll watch. But like before, the Art of Wrestling podcast was the best wrestling podcast to listen to at the time. Um, and he'd always get the guys like John Moxley before he went to WWE. He was like on Art of Wrestling like within a couple of weeks, and then Kevin Steen, before he went to WWE became big. He was on fucking Art of Wrestling, wondering and like talking out loud, like if because he had just had his second or third kid, I don't know, with his wife, and like just talking about how he was probably going to quit wrestling and get a real job and all this other stuff. And then next thing you know, like within a month or two after that podcast was released, he was signed, and now look where he's at now. Like, and then Sami
You
Zayn's been on it.
talk about John Moxley?
No, I'm talking about Kevin Steen,
Oh, okay.
Kevin Owens, whatever you want to call him now.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins been on there as Tyler Black. And that was again just a couple months before he got signed. Obviously, the biggest episode ever that he did, and he got sued for it, was the Punk one. It was just such a great show.
You know what's funny? Like, I think he followed that one up maybe with I don't know about directly followed it up, but like pretty soon after, because I listened to the Punk one and I was like, maybe I'll listen to this show more. And I think one of the follow-ups was like an interview, like a conversation he had with Sabu. And I'm a big Sabu fan. I got me a bootleg Sabu shirt that I'm wearing right here. But it just didn't feel good. Like, it didn't feel like a good interview. It just didn't feel
Sabu. No, I love Sabu, but he's kind of a shit person. Like, in general, like he always has been. He's a shit person, and he was a shit interview,
bro. I have to say,
and I'm gonna say 100%. I am my favorite interviews that Colt did were with Lanny Poffalo.
Did you hear the episode? Did you hear the episode of Wrestle Rock that Lanny Poffo was on?
I don't think so.
Did I tell you the story of it?
I'm sure you have, but hold on. And if anybody doesn't know Lanny Poffalo, he was the genius in old school 80s WWF. You may know his way more famous brother, Macho Man Randy Savage. So Lanny is always great for amazing Macho Man stories. I loved Macho Man Randy Savage growing up. He was one of my favorites. He had probably the greatest match of all time. I don't think there's a better match that has ever been on. And do you know what match I'm going to talk about? WrestleMania 3.
Macho Man Ricky Steamboat.
Ricky Steamboat. I think that is the greatest wrestling match. They told such a beautiful story, and just like violence and carnage is believable-ish. That was in my mind, that's the greatest match of all time.
So this is gonna be like 2 or 3 stories wrapped up in one. Okay. So my brother-in-law before he was my brother-in-law, he was just my friend, and we were making this wrestling documentary together, right? And we went down to Florida, and we we got to stay at Tugboat's hotel that him and his wife ran.
Oh, nice.
And Laddie Poffo came there and met us, and we did an interview with him. And then we went to in this one trip. We went then to Warlord's house, and Kevin Sullivan was over, and we interviewed both of them at the same time. It's fucking cool. Like his parents were Warlord's
Kevin
parents.
Sullivan is one of the greatest minds of wrestling.
Oh yeah. So Kevin Sullivan's parents were there, and he ordered all these pizzas, and we just hung out with Kevin. We hung out with Kevin Sullivan and Warlord's parents in Florida, and then we had a documentary interview with them, and in the middle of the documentary interview, I get a text from my phone from my friend Craig letting me know that Matt Bourne, Doink the Clown, had passed away, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt the interview. I just got this text, and I felt like and we got on camera, and this would never be shown to anyone, but it was them reacting to finding out the news that Matt Bourne had just died, and they were just talking about how like they make death pool bets over who's next. It was directly after that I got a text message that said that fucking Matt Bourne had passed away.
That's fucking great. Joint the Clown is still one of the greatest, shittiest Carney characters ever.
Oh yeah.
Him with I don't know that it was Matt Bourne at the time, but when Bret Hart and him had a little feud, was that Matt Bourne or was that the second Dilly?
I think it was. If it wasn't, it was Steve Kern, but I think it was.
That's when Dink was there too.
I don't know him personally.
And Dink is the midget, and I hate midgets. And Dink, I'm not gonna lie. Right, if you're actually you're not listening to this show, but if for some reason a midget little person watches this down the road, and you hear me say I hate midgets, I'm sorry. I have a massive phobia about it. I've talked about it before on a podcast. Go back. No. I think Dink is part of the reason why I hate midgets. Along with Child's Play was a doll, but like still, like that probably has a lot to do with it. There's probably a lot of really stupid shit that has to do with me. Leprechaun. I hate like all this crazy shit with midgets. I just hate it.
I was on Clash of the Casters this week. It's my friend Jukebox podcast, and this came up somehow. I used to do a joke. On stage about midgets, and in the joke, I would say, and for sure, this is very throwaway. I could never use it again, and I'd be fully fine with never using it again because it's not the A material. But I had a joke where I would say, like, "Oh, I want to meet like a real like shady, like drug dealing, lying midget," so that I could go up to him and say, "Hey, pal, I trust you just about as far as I can throw you." Right. So I did that.
Throw 'em.
What's that?
And then you throw 'em.
Right. So I did that. That wasn't, of course, not the closer, but that was one of the middle jokes that was throwaway. Didn't matter. And then after it was over, this was in Glenside, PA. This woman came up to me and she was like, "Your jokes were funny. My son's a comedian. I'm gonna tell him all about you." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then she was like, "One thing, the fact that you said midget, you could have said something else. You didn't have, just that word is offensive." And she like went off on me about how her son is a comedian in LA who's a midget.
Brad Williams' mom.
No, it's not Brad. It's the midget from Seinfeld. Danny Waterburn.
I never watched Seinfeld. I'm watching Seinfeld now. We're in the second season.
Okay. Well, when you see the midget guy, you'll know that that's the guy I'm talking about. But
wait, hold on. Was he in Big Fish?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
I know he also played Splinter in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Michael Bay ones. anyway, I said to the woman, I was like, look, I fully do not mean to offend anybody. Like, that's not why I'm doing comedy. We're all joking around. We're trying to have fun. We're trying to make people laugh. Like, I come from the wrestling world. I've wrestled many midgets. Like, I have met many midgets, and we talk to each other like we're friends. Like this, they would prefer that I use the word midget to anything else because they know that's why they're there. Like,
Right.
your son wouldn't be on Seinfeld. He wouldn't be famous. He wouldn't be anything. He wouldn't be doing comedy clubs if it wasn't for that trait. Like that. And I was like,
It's true. I mean, probably.
like,
I don't know if he was a
was
great comedian or not.
I was like he knows that's what brought him to the dance, and that's what
Right.
my wrestling is my people. Like,
Right.
my brothers who are also that have told me, and I was like, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that bugs you. I'm sorry. Like that. It's like.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
like,
really have like that same kind of defense because I don't like you can't be in the army and also be a midget. I mean, you could be short, but like there's a cutoff. But you can't be a midget and in the army. So
there's a cutoff,
I can't
aka
say like
cutoff.
you're my brother, you little midget, you, and but
Yeah, but then then I get this is I think this was MySpace. I think this goes back to MySpace days. I get a message on MySpace from this guy who is the midget from Seinfeld, like telling me like his mom told him about me and like told him I was really funny. And like he was like, just sometimes that seems a little ignorant. Like, and I was like, okay, buddy, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Like we can't bubble wrap every piece of the world.
it's a John Mulaney joke, right?
You can't say
The
midgets on TV
yeah,
because there will be
you
a
can't
riot of
say
midgets.
midget because it's like saying the N word. Well, I can tell you where you're wrong because we're saying the word midget.
Right.
Like, which is so fucking true. I get it, little people. I don't understand why midget is offensive, by the way. But I'm also not a midget, so I don't really get.
Well, this
can't
is the
get
thing.
offended.
The thing I did I did a thing on stage this week where I was talking about like okay, now it's to the point. Now it's to the point where they want to say like, okay, don't say homeless because you'll make them feel like they're less than. Like, you could say the unhomed or the unhoused. I'm like, are we so carried away that we're offended about offending bums? Like,
You can't call them bums. You call them hobos. You
right?
call 'em, like streetwalkers. I don't know. Like what the
It
fuck?
has to
And
be
then if you
it
call them
has to be
streetwalkers,
wrapped up
are you
in such a
offending
like
prostitutes?
a pretty little bow to like say as and stay as absolutely non-offensive as you can. Like, bro, I'm not saying these words to offend you. Like the same story. Like, for a long time, I would say the R word all the time because it was constantly used against me when I was a kid. Like, I was in
Retarded?
special ed. What's that?
Retarded?
Yes.
Okay.
That word,
I'm
I
just
got
kidding.
bullied. I got bullied by that.
That's a your mom's house reference is
No.
you said the R word.
so like I always got bullied for it. My little brother is like mentally challenged growing up. Like, I fully get it. Like, I helped challenge kids in classes. Like, I was in SPED my whole school life. And I was like, oh, I'm allowed to say it. I'm one of them. Like,
Yeah.
and that was what was going on in my head. And then I decided to go like, you know what? I don't feel like explaining that part to everybody anytime I ever say it. Like, oh, I don't mean to offend you. I'm one of them. I don't. So instead, I just
like you're not autistic, so you can't make the autistic jokes. Like,
right.
and then go, it's okay, I'm autistic.
Well, I go, hey, it's okay. I got brain injuries, and like, either way, I was like, instead of trying to justify it every single time, I'm just gonna cut it out. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not something that is that important to me. But I mean, like, it's like this. This is, bro. I feel like we can't fully say that we're like making people laugh and telling jokes for a living if there's a lot of words we can't fucking say.
Right.
Like,
Censorship.
I understand I'm gonna not say things that like I shouldn't say, because I fully understand where everyone's coming from. I fully feel like everyone deserves to feel loved and safe and free and heard. Sure, yes. But like, if you're coming to a comedy show, if you're listening to a comedy podcast, if you're listening to somebody who identifies as a comedian, you're offending me. As somebody who identifies as a comedian, you're offending me by getting offended.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm also one of the dude. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm old and shit, and like not be respectful, but like at the same time, I don't get the pronoun shit, and it's like that's the same thing to me. Is like when you say like midget or like I don't say retard that often, and I definitely don't do it in front of my kids. Uh, but I'll say like fuck in front of my kids, which is weird. But I think that like I'd be okay more with them saying fuck than I would retard. Like that shit's not cool. Like it's too far out of the norm now. I try my best not to say it. Now, this is a change that I like, not a change that I've made or anything. Like, like tried to stop saying it for a couple of years now, unless like I'm joking with my buddies or whatever. Like, if it, like if it pertains to something, like sometimes if you're being retarded, dude, you're being retarded. Like, it's just that it's the way it is. Like,
Yeah, well, I changed it because I was when I was younger, dude. I said it a lot. I said it
the,
like way more than anyone
dude, I said
could
it
say.
until like a year ago, two
Like,
years
I
ago.
would say it a lot when I was younger, and when I decided that I was gonna not say it anymore, I just decided that I was gonna replace the word retarded with ridiculous. So if I'd start saying ridiculous, like I would just say, "Oh, you're being ridiculous,"
Well,
and it would just
well, remember like
it
when
was just like changing the
fucking
normalization.
Carlos Mencina was big for a little bit before he got brought down to
Messina.
fucking a real level with by Joe Rogan was the doo-doo-doo shit.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I fucking like, and I was a Carlos Mencina fan. Like I didn't know he ripped off everybody's joke, but like I used to do that shit all the time. Like, and then I didn't know that was necessarily offensive. I did, but I didn't give a fuck.
Hey man, can I pee?
Yeah,
Can
well,
I?
you know what? You can wait just a second. Let's wait. Just we're at 53 minutes in. Let's just fucking end this shit. It's been a
I
great
don't, but I
pod.
don't want to end it. I feel like we're having a good time.
We are. It's also 10:30. I gotta get up at 5.
Well,
So
fine.
I know. I love you, buddy.
I'm
Go
I'm pinching
pee.
it.
I'll go pee. I'll end the podcast. Thank you very much for jumping on last second. I
Yeah,
love you
dude.
very much, buddy.
I want to just make sure I say before I go the very last thing you hear me say, dude. If you get any takeaways from this, if there's any cool parts that you've ever heard me say, I want to say, dude, like, if there's stuff that you can apply it. If there's stuff you can steal it. If you want to give me credit, cool. If you don't, whatevs. Uh, Make sure you know how important it is to me that you've paid me the currency of your attention and your effort by listening into anything that I'm doing. If you want to go ahead and hit subscribe on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cory Kastle. That on there, you'll get my podcast full episodes evolving with Cory Kastle, and the Shamecast, the advice podcast, I guess you classify it as, that I host with my girlfriend Alyssa. It's really cool. I love to know that people are listening and liking this stuff. If you if you listen to any of this, dude, leave a comment. Leave a comment and let us know you exist. Let us know that like something has come through to you, because like it sometimes, like, I'm sure all of anybody who's hearing me knows that, like, feeling like you're screaming into a tunnel and not hearing anything back but you, it kind of can get upsetting and discouraging. So the letting me know you exist is so super important. If you've paid this much attention, if you've paid this much currency of effort to 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 listen, and you got any enjoyment out of it, pay a little bit of that forward, because man, everything you ever can consume of mine is absolutely free. I'm not charging you for anything. So all I'm asking, and as far as like payment, is just some support. Support is really important.
Rate, review, comment, share with a friend, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, I got your YouTube page up there. Everybody go check it out. Cory, go pee. I love you, buddy. I'll talk to you later. I'll end this with everybody my own way. I'll see you later, buddy. Be good.
All right. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving.
All right. Well, I think that was a good episode, Cory Kastle, and my first solo episode. Uh, we always end this podcast. We always say it at the very end. Just say, the one thing we ask everybody to do is to please tell someone you love them. Cory Kastle, you're not there anymore, but I love you, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on last minute. I didn't know if we were going to do this or not. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it or not. And then I have a big shit going on right now. I didn't know if I was going to mentally be able to do this. So here I am. Last 2 minutes, I waited until now. Tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary of my father passing away unexpectedly. Um, and it's just thinking, what the fuck? All right, so an update went on my computer. I'm like, what the fuck happened? My whole fucking monitor shut off. But a 1 year of my dad passing away, and pretending, like, in a way that he's still there. Uh, and not really properly, probably not properly grieving him. I don't really know that there's a proper way. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to live life and go on the best without you know the person who always gave me the best advice in my life. And it's been a trip, and I fucking can't believe it's been 1 year already. Uh, so yeah, um, yeah, it felt really good to do this podcast and to get through it, so I don't look, you know, I don't let shit happen or emotionally too much to me. So hey, there is Renee. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. And again, like I said, tell somebody you love them. You never know when that's not going to happen. Like I said, again, Dad died a year ago. I never got to say goodbye. It's one thing that fucking bothers the shit out of me. So, Cory Kastle, I love you, buddy. Renee Encarnacion, I love you, buddy. And everybody that watches us, tunes in for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, fuck the whole podcast. I love you guys. I appreciate the fuck out of you. Uh, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week with the normal Perfectly Misfit podcast.